Welcome back to High Side, Low Side, America's favorite motorcycle podcast. I think that's what I'm going to start saying from now on as we start these off. I, of course, am Spurgeon Dunbar, and my co-host here, Mr. Zack Kortz, has, luckily for all of us, come back for yet another episode.
I mean, I guess I just can't help it. Now I'm addicted to America's favorite motorcycle podcast. I like that, actually, because if we just keep saying it, maybe eventually it'll be true. So today's episode, welcome everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. We are working on another Build-A-Bike episode, which we've done before. This time around, it is your 2-year machine, so you can only ride one motorcycle for 2 years. And you have to decide what bike that's going to be that you take across the country or to a track day or down a dusty trail, whatever you want to do. So joining us for that discussion will be our friend Ari Henning. Once we get through some of these housekeeping items here. So I guess we should jump into it.
Yeah, I mean, as always, we're going to give away T-shirts. We got some news items. Let's start off, though, with a word from our sponsor, Motul. For those of you that might be new to the High Side, Low Side podcast, Motul is our title sponsor for this season. They've done an amazing job supporting us with everything that we're doing to help us bring this content to you. Motul's also done a really good job of helping us with some of the live events and some of the giveaways that we've been doing to make sure that, folks that show up have an opportunity to, maybe take some goodies home with them. Motul makes a variety of oils and chain cleaners and lubes. And frankly, they do a nice job of keeping my chain clean and my bike clean. And they've also helped us out a little bit with this contest that we're running. And just so everyone's clear, the contest is over, but Zach and I are still busy tallying up which one of us rode the most miles. So we'll have an answer for you in the next episode as to who won the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation's ride-off between Zach and myself.
And in the meantime, a tip of the cap to Motul, whether you're looking for cleaner or lubricants for your motorcycle, your scooter, farm equipment, transmissions, whatever
you're riding the John Deere to work out there.
Yeah,
oh my Lord!
I mean, it's on Motul's website. Just saying, whatever you have to work on, I'm sure Motul can help. And keep in mind that if you enjoy High Side, Low Side, Motul does help us out with this podcast, so thanks to that.
I guess that's the crossover audience, right? They've got a Honda Shadow in the garage, and they've also got a John Deere 3250 sitting there. I actually don't know if that's a John Deere model number. I just made that up off the top of my head. I'm sure we're gonna get like some farmer that writes in and they're like, John Deere doesn't make a 3250 jackals.
If I that sounds like a good farmer insult, you jackals. I hope we get a farmer writing in telling us that we're wrong about John Deere's. That'd be great.
Yeah,
that'd be great. Speaking of winners,
speaking of farmers writing in, people writing in.
Speaking of farmers, time to give away some T-shirts. This is where you, the viewer listener, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, which gives us feedback on how to make the episodes of the podcast better. And we select just a couple of reviews every now and then to give T-shirts away. So please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. We know it's kind of a headache, but it does help us out. And you could win a free T-shirt, just like, drumroll please, Spurgeon. You want to take it away?
I'll take it away. You can do the first one. Go for it.
Willie J1. Willie J1. If you even remember that you left an Apple Podcast review, thank you so much. Willie J had this to say. The subject sort of caught our eye because it said, do you actually read these? And
surprise.
Obviously we do. Yeah, exactly. Willie J likes the podcast. I'll paraphrase that part. He or she thinks that we are experienced in on and off-road motorcycle riding, which may or may not be true. Also posed a question. I wonder how much creative control both Spurgeon and Zack have over this platform. Well, Willie J, you should send us your T-shirt size and mailing address because we're going to give you a T-shirt. But just to show you how much creative control we have over this platform, we're also going to send you something else. And we think you're going to be surprised.
We have not only creative control, but we've got pretty much an unlimited budget to send you stupid. And guess what, Willie J? You just earned it. But just to clarify, I would like Chase, come here for a second. We're just gonna. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're gonna see it. If not, you're gonna get to hear his voice in 1 second. So
this is a good point.
Just come over here and a little closer. Just say hi into the microphone.
Hey, everybody.
All right, now get the hell out.
Yeah, Chase.
That was Chase Kabashik, ladies and gentlemen. He is our producer. So really, when it comes to these episodes, there's 3 people involved in deciding exactly how crazy and off the rails we're going to get. It's Zach, myself, and then sometimes Chase sits over here and he goes, "Move on. You're rambling. Just shut the up and keep going." So other than that, we get to say whatever we want to say, when we want to say it, how we want to say it, and we get to invite the guests on that we want to talk to. So hopefully that answers your question, Willie J.
Yeah, and thank you very much for the review. And just like that, Chase is telling us to move on. So winner number 2, I'll let you take this one.
So
Spurgeon.
this is Gordon. Gordon wrote in actually on the internet. He sent me a private message on Instagram, but I wanted to give him a call out because super really great interaction, and it never ceases to amaze me some of the feedback and the interactions that we get with High Side Low Side. Wrote in and said, "Hey Spurgeon, I found a vinyl copy of the music from On Any Sunday while I was in Portland, and I snagged it for you in case you wanted it. I know that you and Zach have talked about the movie several times, and if I remember correctly, you're also into vinyl. I'd love to send it your way." So I just wanted to give a shout out to Gordon because I got back from the KLR 650 launch, and this was waiting for me in the mailroom at RevZilla. So he actually found a copy of On Any Sunday soundtrack on vinyl. This is an original pressing, and he mailed it. He mailed it to me. So I'm going to go home, and we're recording this on a Friday night. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to have a few cocktails. I'm going to put this on, and I'm going to listen to the sweet sounds of On Any Sunday.
Dun, 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 dun.
Exactly.
Dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun.
Oh my Lord! You could just sing it to me.
That's
Well,
excellent.
yeah, I could just
I'm
call
so
you,
jealous
and you could
that
just
you
sit there
have
and sing it for me.
I'm so jealous you have it on vinyl. It's cool. I mean, I don't have a record player, so it wouldn't do me any good. But that's awesome. Next time I visit, I want to sit back and crank it.
I will make you a fancy cocktail. We can sit on the front porch and just blast this until my neighbors wonder what's going on.
Till they wonder if Bruce Brown has risen from the dead.
Well, so anyway, thank you, Gordon. Please go ahead and shoot us an email to highsidelowside at RevZilla.com to both Gordon and Willie J. And we will make sure that we get you some T-shirts. And for Willie J, we're going to send you some other ridiculous nonsense just to show you how in control we are.
Right on. So, T-shirts given away. Next up is a quick run through what's in the news. And we have to start with the Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation call out.
Yeah, so we mentioned this earlier with the Motul ad. The Pediatric Brain Tumor Foundation ride is over. We want to thank everyone who participated, everyone who sent in the screenshots of their donations and what they've done. Zach and I are still tallying up our miles. I kind of started off with a pretty heavy lead, and I know Zach has been scrambling to catch up. So I want to make sure that I give him the proper amount of time to just sit there and go through his long list of miles to add up before I declare myself a winner.
Yeah, that's only fair. For those of you curious about the Motul gift basket that we mentioned previously, we're going to pull names from a hat in the next episode of High Side, Low Side to decide who wins that particular prize.
And depending on who loses this bet, it might be a pretty funny hat that the other person has to wear in which we will pull the names out of. So that's the possibility.
It's a possibility.
We still haven't figured out what the loser has to do for this one yet. So it's going to be a surprise.
Right.
We'll see.
Still deciding. So next news item, we mentioned Triumph deciding to wade into the pool of making dirt bikes, which again, I think Spurgeon, you had a good point. I think you're the one that said, "Show me the dirt bikes, and then I'll be impressed." Instead of this whole like, "No, we're going to do it, promise." Anyway, we're not trying to put Triumph on blast here, but that is something that we is intriguing, and I bring it up because we have more Triumph news. The Speed Triple RR teaser that Triumph released, as well as the sort of semi-cloaked Tiger Sport 660 are two new bikes that are in the pipeline that we're sort of looking forward to, and it kind of seems like Triumph's on the gas.
Yeah, presumably we're actually going to have more information during the next podcast about the Speed Triple RR, so we can share that with you then. Right now, we're as in the dark as possible, but basically what it looks like is they're going to build a fully fared sport bike around the Speed Triple chassis. I might have said Street Triple earlier, and I apologize for that. So if I read that correctly, that's what that looks like, Zach. And I know that you're also someone that's been calling for a 660 version of the Tiger for a little while. I know that I've heard you mention that in the past. So it seems like you're kind of, maybe getting a little bit of what you want with this.
Certainly. The Speed Triple R thing is interesting. I think it seems like they're very intentionally not calling it a Daytona because it's not going to be a full-on sport bike. What it seems like is more like a MV Agusta Super Veloce thing. You remember that like super swoopy, really kind of faired retro?
Yeah, like very pretty looking. And I use pretty as in like it looked like fancier. Is that the one? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah. Okay. Basically. So I think that Triumph is maybe realizing that without the Daytona in their lineup, they don't have, or it doesn't have, a sort of like sporty looking bike to present to the motorcycling public. So they're sort of like, what if we like wrap some sweet looking skin around a Speed Triple because it's like a high performance bike.
So you don't think that this is going to be like designed to be a more impressive track weapon? That's not the idea you think this is going to go with?
I don't think so. I don't think they're not building a World Superbike platform. They're not building an S1000 RR or a Panigale V4 or an R1 or a...
Yeah, but if you think about the fact that like when the Daytona 675 came out, like it didn't fit into the 600 class, and that still became a very popular track bike for a lot of people. So I'm going to say that I think that by the next time we talk, this is going to be more of a track-oriented, fully fared, superbike-esque build that they're going to go with. That's just my guess.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, fair enough. And yeah, to your point about the Sport 660, it's basically going to be kind of like a Kawasaki Versus treatment to the 660 triple that they put in that Trident, that Triumph put in that Trident, which I think makes sense because whether it's a Yamaha Tracer 9, whether it's Yamaha using their triple or their small displacement parallel twin in the Tracer models or Kawasaki's Versus, there's quite a bit of traction, I think, in that department, and it seems like Triumph has the ability to produce a bike that's sort of reasonably priced and pretty capable and sort of upright, more comfortable than the Triumph and more capability for luggage, that kind of thing.
They all sound like bikes that would be easy to live with for 2 years at a time. Not that I want to get too far down the road for our podcast.
Don't get too far.
Let's go ahead and skip to number 4 just for the sake of time with this. But Zach and I have both recently come back from First Ride reviews. Zach has just returned from the Yamaha Tracer GT launch. I just came back from the Kawasaki KLR 650 launch. Zach, what can you tell us that's new about the Tracer?
Well, it got more complicated, more expensive.
As they always seem to.
As they always seem to do. Like Spurgeon's KLR article that you can read on Common Tread, you can also read about the Tracer. The quick review is that it's better, but also, it's tough, right? Like, as a motorcycle gets more expensive and complicated, it also I think ratchets up the reasonable call for critiques, right? Like, if a bike is, that's one of the things about the Versus 650 that I if you have a bike that comes with saddlebags that can each fit a full-size helmet and just about 300 miles of range and a pretty sporty chassis and second gear wheelies and comfort for a passenger and adjustable wind protection, and it's for $9,000, you're just sort of like, yeah, like the brakes aren't perfect, the chassis is not perfect, it's not a perfect bike, but like, holy smokes, that's a lot to get, And I think when you start getting up to $12,000-$15,000 now, which is basically what a Tracer is, it's got to be damned good. And all of a sudden, you're sort of like, there's kind of a lot of glare on the dash, like I can't really see it, and it's not bright enough. And if it was $9,000, you'd be like, well, it's a TFT dash for, it's not bright enough, but hey, it's $9,000. But it's $15,000 now, and you're sort of like, ooh, I don't know, man, you probably should have gotten that right. So it's a tough thing. It is a better bike. They did fix in large part the squishy suspension problems, and it's very capable and it's better than ever, but also more expensive than ever. So
Well, I'll tell you this. If more expensive and more complicated isn't what you want, and if $9,000 sounds too expensive, you should check out a KLR 650 because the KLR 650 did not get more expensive. It's still the base price. Well, depending on the model you go with, but the base price is still $6,700, $66,699 is what Kawasaki wants to say. But here at High Side, Low Side, we're going to round that up to an even $6,700. Now, there's an ABS version. So, it got a little bit more complicated with things that we just expect from a motorcycle, right? Like it has fuel injection now, and it has an option for ABS. It wasn't like they put a TFT dash on it. It did get a little LCD dash.
Right.
But it's still a KLR 650. For people that always liked it, it's the same bike.
And if a tachometer and a gear position indicator is too much complication for you, then the KLR 650 is the bike for you.
No, it's interesting. I got into a debate with our West Coast producer, Spencer Robert, who was on the podcast talking about movies with us not too long ago, and he was livid about the gear shift indicator. He was like, he went out for a ride. We were shooting the final stand-up for the video, which you can check out on YouTube, in the back parking lot of the West Coast office, and he came back in after riding. He was like, I can't. I can excuse the tachometer, but there's no gear shift position indicator. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's a miss, but like I wasn't mad about it. And he was like, I am. So that one really got under Spencer's skin. My biggest complaint with it was they changed the foot peg design. So the foot pegs are now rubber mounted. They're big rubber foot pegs that you can't, unplug and get a nice, firm grip on the boots. And they're rubber mounted. So there's flex to them. This is great if you decide you want to ride 1,200 miles across, the Southwest. It's a much more comfortable touring bike. The suspension has some improvements there to it. But the foot pegs, if you're trying to stand up and off-road ride, I would probably be looking to the aftermarket to solve that one. But if you want all the nitty-gritty on the KLR 650 or the Tracer GT, now's the time where you want to, now's when you want to finish listening to the podcast. But after which, you can head over to Common Tread and you can read our articles and check out the videos on YouTube. Because you're going to be doing a daily rider on the Tracer. Is that correct?
Yeah, I believe it's already live. I get
You're doing the dates in your head.
Doing the dates in my head. Should already be live.
So
you should be able to go watch it right now, everybody.
There's a KLR 650 video, a Tracer GT video, and then there's articles for both of those as well. So without any further ado, let's get Mr. Ari Henning on here and start talking about building some motorcycles.
Yes, please. All right, there he is. Ari Henning, back on High Side, Low Side, where he belongs, arguing about motorcycles. How's your day going so far, man?
So far, so good. Happy to talk bikes with you fellas. This is a interesting topic.
It's a good way to end a Friday. For those of you that are listening right now,
it's the beginning of our Friday, Spurgeon.
Well, it's the end of mine, so that's all I'm worried about.
Speaking for yourself, right?
I mean, it could be the end of our Friday too, Ari, if we want.
Yeah, it's true. If he's clocking out right after we do this, then we can too. Like, who's going to call us out on it?
Exactly. I'm not here to judge anybody, so everybody just clocks out as soon as this is done.
So the topic of today's discussion, of course, is building your ideal motorcycle out of parts that exist on the market today, such as engines, chassis, stuff like that, from different bikes, and you build a bike that you would have to live with for 2 years. So no borrowing, no buying a new bike, no borrowing any bikes, no riding any other motorcycle for that amount of time.
Why did we choose that amount of time? 2 years versus like one versus.
The idea is that it's a decent amount of time, right? Like it's
whether it's 5 years, could be 10 years,
10 years. But the whole thing here is that for all the different activities you want to do for the foreseeable future, you have to use this Frankenstein of a bike that you're going to build today. So just keep it in mind. Like if you want to go to a track day, you're going to have to do it with this bike. If you want to ride across the country to visit family, you have to do it on this bike. So
yeah, that's fair.
We're trying to build an all-arounder.
It's important, in my mind, it's important to distinguish between the things I want to do and the things that I'm actually going to do, because obviously I'm going to do 12 track days next year, and I'm probably going to do like 2, so.
Two? Yeah, you still have to do 2 with this. So like, if you
I've
build
done
it
some
on a
track
dirt
days
bike
and some
chassis.
pretty weird stuff, so I'm willing to risk it.
Yeah. So those are the basic guidelines. So we're going to go through the sort of major pieces of the bike, engine, chassis, stuff like that, and then we'll all have a chance for a wild card thing that we can add at the end, and then we'll talk through the bike that we've all built. So I think we'll just jump right into it. Guest honors. We're going to start with, you want to start with chassis, right? Is that right, Spurgeon?
Yeah, so, and just to be clear, so Ari, we're going to kick things off with you, but the chassis includes the frame, the suspension, and the wheels, right? So think about your ergonomic triangle. It's the frame, the chassis, or it's the chassis is the frame, the suspension, and the wheels. So that's what we're going to start with.
And for those that aren't familiar, the term chassis is from the Brits, and we've adopted it here. And it's a weird word to use other than frame, but we'll go with it because it's what people use. And
well, where does it come from? You can't give us a bit of the history and then not the entire.
I'd have to Google it. We don't have time for that. That's a tangent we don't necessarily want to go down.
It's a whole other podcast.
Yeah, it is a whole new podcast. I gave it some thought. I am a big fan of the BMW S1000 XR chassis. I'm trying to think of a bike that I could do a lot of things on. My proclivity is more towards fast street riding, touring, and track days. I'm not so worried about off-road riding. So I'm going to start there because that is a hell of a frame. They did all the updates for the S1000RR. They transferred that over to the sport touring bike, and it's got a lot of good stuff on it. I mean, the suspension's really good for sure, but are we not going to do suspension from something else, or do we have that opportunity?
I will. So actually, that's one of the. I was going to use it as a wild card, but I will let you pull the suspension for something else. But before you do that, I do have a question for you. Is the S1000 XR, is that now BMW's electronic adjustable suspension?
Yeah, it's got DESA, and it's really freaking good.
Okay. So do you want to pull the suspension from something else?
No, DESA would absolutely, whatever suspension I choose, I would want to apply BMW's DESA because I think that flexibility is tremendous. So I can just go with the S1000 XR because it already has it.
Then my follow-up question to that is, what's the travel on that? That's like sport bike travel, like 4.5, 5 inches, or is that more like 7-inch travel?
Yeah, it's not off-road bike travel. It's definitely sport bike travel. Like I said, I'm leaning more towards the pavement than the dirt, but it's got a little bit of that ADV vibe. Okay,
so just so the audience is clear, that's 17-inch rims. It's a sportier electronic suspension, and the chassis on it. For those of you that aren't aware, the S1000 XR chassis is more of like kind of like the upright adventure style, but a little bit more of a lower handlebar.
Correct. Yeah, and very much tuned for street performance.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great answer. Very, very good answer. What about you, Spurge? What's your chassis of choice?
I'm gonna let you go second. I'm honestly I'm making this up as I go along, and I haven't decided yet. I'm still between a couple different ones in my head. So actually, I'm gonna let you go, Zach.
It's hard to go first though. So you guys can do it for variety.
The S1000 XR is a great choice. That was on my list. What I am gonna go with though is a little bit weird in that it's not a current model. I'm gonna go with let me see. I don't remember the years exactly, but like 2013 to 17 or something like that. The Ducati Multistrada 1200 chassis. Not basically for the same reasons that Ari likes the XR. It's very sporty. It's a comfortable bike to ride, but it's very, very sporty, and the suspension has tons of flexibility. The Ducati Skyhook system is especially in that era, I think was very, very variable. It changed its attitude a lot when you change the tuning, and you can flick through settings in the suspension to ask it to be generally soft or generally stiff, but then you could also do it all manually as well. You could go in and say I want 18 clicks of compression
that was a
in
good
the
system.
Fork, whatever.
You weren't stuck with just what they gave you. You could actually adjust it.
Exactly. So I like that aspect of it, and I did take that era of Multistrada on a bunch of different motorcycling missions, and I really liked the chassis. So that's what I'm going with. It's very tangential to what Ari selected. We have similar taste in motorcycles and motorcycling, you might say.
We did ride an S1000 XR and that generation Multistrada together at the track, and the Multistrada chassis didn't exactly.
So it wasn't as good.
I did not like that era of Multistrada chassis, and I never did it on the track. You said 2012 or 2013?
Whenever they did it was
when they introduced.
I went on the press
Skyhook.
launch in 2012, but I think it was a 13 model. Maybe.
Okay. Because
I'm not certain, but that was around that time. It was the sort of like the first gen Skyhook.
So the one I'm thinking of is the previous gen. Then I'm thinking of the last year of the S model with the Olin suspension on it.
Right.
We had one in the office for a long time, and I remember being so excited to ride it, and it just I never jived with it. So, yeah.
Well, maybe it was the engine, which I'm going to swap out.
No,
anyway.
it was really more the handling. Like I never felt like it was planted.
Did you check the tire pressure, Spurgeon?
I did.
That's the first thing you should check.
That was the first thing I did check because I was like,
Good.
it feels like the tires are flat. So
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone hates my choice. I get it.
No. I think it's a great starting off point. So
Hit us with your bike of choice, your baseline of choice.
my baseline of choice, and I want you to know that I put a lot of thought into this. And part of the thought that I put in this was challenging myself not to use KTM products.
I knew it.
Nope.
I knew he was going to struggle.
It was a
Bound to
struggle.
happen.
It was a
Has to
struggle.
happen.
He wants to reserve that for suspension because we all know how he feels about that cone setup.
Well, so hang on a second, because I played the game in my head where I picked the chassis and left the same suspension on it. Now, in an ideal world, yes, I would go with the cone valve. But the chassis that I want to go with, and I'm picking this because it's a little bit more all-around comfortable, is I want to go with the Triumph Tiger 900 XC chassis.
Nice.
They made some great revisions to that bike, because I think it's important to note that when we're talking about chassis, we're probably also including, the fuel tank in there. I mean, I guess we could pull a different fuel tank off of something else, but they made some revisions where the previous generation Tiger 800 really did have a lot of weight up high, and they made efforts to kind of bring the weight down in the fuel tank. And also just the chassis was a little bit lighter, a little bit more dynamic. The suspension was better. They added a Showa suspension. They went away from WP. And I personally thought that the upgrade to the Tiger 900 chassis was worlds better than the Tiger 800 chassis.
And you'd keep the suspension as well?
For the purposes of living with this bike for the next 2 years.
All right.
And playing the game. I mean, because I'm either going to do that or I'm going to put the pro components on there, and then I'm going to, kind of revert back. But, it's a wild world. I might still decide to switch up. But I think the biggest thing for me that's going to differentiate my pick from you guys is that the tire selection for my bike is going to be more off-road focused, right? Like it's a 21-17 setup. So it's not the 21-18 setup. It's a 21-17, but it's still not going to be as dynamic as having, a 17-17, which is what the two of you guys are going to be running with.
Yep. I think that you go ahead, Ari.
Oh, I will say that my alt choice, if I was going to lean more towards off-road riding, was going to be also a Triumph, the Scrambler XE.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah, which I
okay.
think is a really good platform. And if
Yeah.
I shoehorned a different engine in it and did a few other things, it could be pretty exciting.
So you're talking. So just so the audience is clear, the Triumph Tiger 1200 is it's not
No.
the same as the 900.
No, I'm talking about the Scrambler.
Yeah.
Scrambler.
Yeah. What did I say?
You said
You said
Explorer.
1200.
Well, the Scrambler is a 1200. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
sorry. I guess I heard.
Yeah, you said Scrambler. You said Explorer, I think.
You did say
were ta-
Explorer.
Yeah.
Chase, check the
Chase,
tape.
check the tape.
Whatever,
No, but my
it
point
doesn't matter.
is that for those of you listening, the bike that Ari's talking about is a large parallel twin for the engine as it sits right now. But the chassis, I remember that it's got dual rail shocks on it, and the rear Öhlins on that thing, like the shocks are as long as your arm. Like they're the longest production shocks that I've seen in
They're
market
insane.
today.
Yeah.
But overall, that platform is great. It's a lot of fun off-road.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's sort of live. It's arguably it's sort of like an alternative ADV in a way, because it's not all covered in plastic and bodywork and stuff like that, but it's still kind of rugged enough to slam down a trail. I appreciate the 21-inch front wheel selection, Spurgeon. I don't think anyone who knows you will be surprised, since you're an adventurous fella, as they say. And I was torn, because my alternate was one I had in mind was the Multistrada, the current Multistrada, because I think that's a good chassis, and like I think it works quite well. I like that bike a lot. But same thing with like a GS, like the 19-inch front wheel to me is sort of best of both worlds, but also worst of both worlds. Like, yeah, like I'm a 19-inch front wheel bike. I'm gonna feel less confident on a racetrack. I'm sure it's just sort of like not really made for that, and it's also not as gnarly as you'd want it to be to go off road like a 21-inch front wheel bike. So I guess I just sort of like reverted back. I shrunk back into my little tortoise shell of road riding and was like, I'm just going to go with 17s.
Well, for what it's worth, I contemplated the whole, I usually do a track day or two a year, and I'm not nearly as competitive as the two of you. But, Michelin still makes the Pilot Road Series in the 21-17 setup. So, if I wanted to swap out, some knobby tires to a Michelin setup, those Michelin tires, I know Ari wrote an article about it for Common Tread, but that's as sporty as I would ever need to be on that bike for that scenario. So I feel like between having a set of Michelin Pilot takeoffs over here and some Pirelli Scorpion rallies on this side, I could probably do a nice job of mixing and matching the two.
Yep, that's totally fair. And that's something, just a quick sidebar, good thing to keep in mind. A buddy of ours in California here has an F800 GS, and he has Bridgestone, I forget, the sort of like 90-10.
Trail-wing?
Maybe, yeah. They're basically road tires, essentially.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm only going to ride this bike really on the road, so I want to get some road tires. And he loves it. It works great. And there's nothing wrong with doing that.
Bridgestone
totally
actually they make an AX, I want to say it's an AX41, and I was using those on my 1090 before I got rid of them. And those are probably my favorite, like, middle of the road tire, because they handle a lot better on the street than something like a TKC80, but they give you almost as much bite as a TKC80 off road. So I think it's really interesting to see what some of the stuff that Michelin's doing.
Even though
I'm sorry, Bridgestone. Sorry. This is ridiculous. This is
Scramblers,
getting off.
Michelin, Bridgestone. I don't know, man.
I'm pretty sure, like I said, I made the mistake with Michelin right there, but I'm pretty sure I'm sticking to my Scrambler 1200. I just said Triumph 1200. Anyway,
so
neither here nor there.
So Ari and Zach, we have our 17-inch adventure-ish, sporty-ish bikes rolling
with electronic
chassis here.
suspension.
Yeah, exactly. And Spurgeon's got his Triumph 900.
Fully adjustable suspension,
right?
Just not electronic.
You got to bust out a wrench or a screwdriver.
So just so I'm clear, so BMW's suspension is proprietary, correct?
Yes.
Like they make it, and then for Zach's, yours, the Skyhook was Ducati's proprietary, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they have
it's
different,
Sachs.
Oh, is it Sachs?
and they have different strategies for how
Okay.
they regulate and adjust.
Okay.
Yeah, the software is proprietary.
Because I want to
I mean,
say the Tiger 900 is Showa, I believe. I know that they got away from WP, and I think they went to Showa. So I was trying to do the math in my head of like who we've
got
picked.
covered.
Yeah.
Buying suspension from Honda, all the way from.
Is that allowed?
Apparently it is. Okay, guest honors again. This is the hot tamale, the soul of the machine. Engine. I feel I have a.
You
I have
know
a hunch
exactly
Ari's
what I'm
gonna
going
say.
for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do. I was. What? Huh?
Tell the people.
I mean,
Preach.
I wanted a triple. I wanted an inline, but like the MT09 engine is probably the best we've got right now, and it just wasn't good enough for what I wanted to do.
You think it's better than the Triumph engine, like the 675 engine?
Well, it's not. That's not enough horsepower.
It's like 120 horsepower in the RS.
Yeah, but the dynamic I'm after is grunt.
Ooh.
I want thrust. And
Tell
for
us
that,
more.
For that, I'm going
Yeah.
with, as Zach has probably already guessed, a 210 1100 engine, a V4, because it's just so hard to beat that motor for anything on the pavement. Probably wouldn't be great off-road, but I'm obviously not building my motorcycle to be focused for that. So yeah, I think S1000 XR chassis with that big old V4 shoehorned in there. I mean, it wouldn't fit between the frame spars, but whatever. That's another issue.
In the world that we're living in, you'll make it fit.
Suddenly
Exactly.
it fits. Yeah, we just rotate it all the way down. But yeah, that's what I'm going for. It's just tremendous torque, tremendous horsepower, very linear. It can be calm and casual, or it can be vicious and fast. It's a really versatile power plant.
Indeed. Just a quick nitpick here. You happy with the final drive gearing on the new 210 1100? Like you say, you want grunt, but historically those bikes are geared kind of tall.
That's true. It is geared kind of tall. I mean, you could always go up a couple teeth in the back for more wheelies and tire spin. That's an easy change.
True. Very, very simple change. We didn't say anything about in this 2 years you can't switch rockets, so all good. How about you take this one, Spurge? What's your engine of choice?
So I'm kind of getting a little wacky with this one because I
Nice.
did go with the Yamaha triple engine, and
No
I
wonder
went
you're
with
defensive.
it. I went with it because, I mean, in my mind, I was like, I really like the Street Triple R engine for the refinement and what that brings to the table. But when you look at the Triumph engine next to the Yamaha engine, the absolute grunt that you get from like 2,000 RPM on up from that Yamaha triple, just it blows the Triumph out of the water. The Triumph is much more of a rever when it comes down to it. And I don't think there's...
So just to be clear, sorry to interrupt. You're talking about the 765 Triumph triple, not the oddball firing order 900 triple.
I am talking about, I'm going with the Yamaha MT-09 engine in my
But when
book.
you're comparing
When
it to
you're
a
comparing
Triumph
it to-
triple,
Yes, I'm
you're
sorry. I'm comparing
it to
it
the
to the
765 street triple engine, not the Tiger 900
Yes,
triple.
and if I misspoke earlier, when I think I might have said 675 earlier, I am speaking about the new 765 engine that Triumph's using.
We're giving you lots of leniency today. With the,
It's a Friday afternoon here, so I've already
True.
I'm already drunk.
yeah, that green can might actually be a Heineken, huh?
I just dumped the liquor right inside, so it looks like I'm drinking a seltzer.
Perfect.
That's one of those tricks you picked up when you were teaching high school in Los Angeles, right?
You're darn right. Yeah.
We had a chemistry teacher like that.
Oh boy.
So the engine that I'm picking is a MT09 engine, and when you compare it next to the 765 engine from Triumph, I wasn't comparing it to the Tiger 900 engine.
Right.
The 765 engine is much more refined. It's like a British gentleman versus a lowly commoner, which I feel like is more of the Yamaha engine, just down there shoveling coal for a living. But I mean, it makes like maximum torque like at like 2,400 RPM, and I'm thinking that's fun on the street, but also when you're off road, like.
Yeah.
That's just gonna just be spinning that rear wheel sideways, and I think for me, I want that best of both worlds. And frankly, I would love to see what that engine could do in an adventure off-road scenario.
Yeah.
This is a great answer. Yeah.
I want to know what Zach's going to put in that multi-chassis.
Speaking of things not fitting in the chassis per se. So really quick, I considered the Yamaha triple as well. Now it's 890cc triple that's in the M209 and the Tracer 9, but yeah, I had the same problem with it that Ari does, which is like I got a thirst for absurd amounts of horsepower that it just doesn't quite quench. So the Aprilia V4 is a great choice, and I can't I don't have any criticisms of that really. I was between
fuel mileage is a criticism.
Yeah. We'll see, and that's another thing. So I was.
Yeah, but you're gonna put that BMW Adventure tank on there, right? So you're gonna have 9 gallons of gas with you.
Yeah, obviously. That is actually on my list. Believe it or not.
Of course it is.
The 1290 KTM engine was like, I thought, I like that engine a lot, and it's just that it like does get pretty good fuel mileage, which I do like, and it's like thunderously fast. It's comparable to the
they're in the same
V4
family.
Yeah. But I got to thinking about noise and I came back around to the Yamaha Crossplane 4, so an R1 engine basically, or an MT10 engine. And I think that I would really get a kick out of that. The MT10 I always have so much fun when I ride that bike because the way that they tuned that engine slightly differently than the R1, and the way that it's geared and the way that bike is set up, it's just really like it howls in exactly the right way to have fun on the street, but it's still fast enough to get a kick out of it on if you're going to do a track day, or if you want to, I don't know, ride a little too fast in any scenario. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going with. And it historically gets terrible fuel mileage. But again, I'm going to bolt on a huge gas tank and solve it that way, which is obviously a horrible thing to do. But
we were actually the episode that Spencer was on, Ari, we were talking about the amount of times you've had to bail him out because he's run out of gas in an MT10, and we were trying to think if it was
at least twice that I can think of.
Yeah. So
twice is a lot, by the way. Normally it's 0 times that you have to bail someone out for running out of gas, so twice is a lot
on the same bike. I want to say I do not like traditionally inline fours. It's not my kind of riding that I like to do, but that MT10 engine it blew me away. I was actually really impressed with that bike, and I did fall in love with that engine. And I also want to defend the KTM because you made a comment, Zach, a second ago about like the sound, and I think it's important to know that I specifically made efforts like to stay away from a KTM product for this. Like I was trying to push my boundaries a little bit, but
it's good.
You take that 1290 engine with an Akrapovic exhaust and the Rottweiler intake, and I will go on record saying that is probably my favorite sounding motorcycle combination out there. Like you can hear it breathing. It's so alive.
That's the powertrain I wanted to put in my Triumph Scrambler.
Oh.
That was the fork in the road. That was going to be the one fork, which I think would be a pretty freaking hellacious machine. Like the stock engine.
I'm kind of wishing you would have gone down that fork in the road, to be honest with you.
It's pretty exciting to think about, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a wild ride to
Scrambler
have.
XE with a 1290 engine shoehorned in it. It would fit in the frame too. Like it would
Dude.
be a beast.
Because that's like
Yeah.
it's like what, like 170 horse, like
I don't think
165.
it's that
something.
high,
they
but the
claim.
torque is pretty gobsmacking.
Yeah, and
The actual numbers at the rear tire are something like around 155 horsepower and more than 90 foot-pounds of torque, which is
Yep.
just
Tremendous.
berserk. Yep.
But it
so
could
I
also
think
be
I think we
docile.
all agree, like we
Yeah.
all automatically lose. We should have gone with Ari's side pick on this one.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm excited about this bike build, you guys. These machines are really coming around.
Before
wanna-
we move on, we should do a pause
You're right.
for Motul.
Copy.
right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's take a second. Let's pause for Motul, and then we'll keep going with these builds.
All right, we're back talking about our dream 2-year bike builds here, and come to think of it, they'd probably take about 2 years to build because these are horribly complex and ridiculous machines we're building.
And none of the parts are going to work together.
Exactly. So we've talked about the sort of frame, suspension, chassis that we'd pick, and the engines that we'd pick. Next up, I want to jump to electronics, because I think that that's a big piece of the puzzle in modern motorcycling. And obviously, it's acceptable to say none whatsoever.
No electronics.
But please, if you don't mind, Ari, take it away. What's your electronics package of choice?
I mean, the bold choice would be, as you stated, no electronics. But with the bike I'm building so far, that certainly doesn't seem like a smart option, especially given that my suspension is already electronic. But
Yeah.
I'll be honest, like besides electronic suspension, which we've already decided is going to be DSA, heated grips, which already come on a BMW, a quick shifter, which is common with a lot of brands, and quality ABS. I don't really need ride modes. I don't really need a complex menu. So I'm not super particular about that. Like the fact of the matter is, whatever electronic system I go with, I'm probably going to set once and then not adjust ever again. So I'm not super picky. I would be perfectly content to stick with the stock BMW stuff or the Aprilia stuff. The APRC system is great as well. They've got all the adjustability that I need, which is to say more than I need. I'm not going to adjust that much. So I'm not picky on that topic.
I see. Set it and forget it.
Set it and
so
forget
it sounds
it.
like
Wait, but
it
so
sounds
what?
like if you were
you have
going
to pick.
do that.
You have to pick something. Like which bike?
Well, what I'm saying is either or. I could flip a coin between what's already on the BMW or what's already on the Aprilia.
What about like the MT10 electronics package, which is like there's like TC off and then TC1 and TC2.
And it does have cruise control now.
Yep, and
But
cruise
it
control
doesn't have heated grips.
Doesn't have heated grips. That's true.
Yeah.
But like that's a very, very simple. That's one of the cool things about the MT10 is that it has like it'll allow you to do wheelies with traction control level 1, and it's a little bit more lenient. And then TC2 is like if it's raining, it's like it's a little more cautious, or you
Yeah.
can shut it off, and that's it.
Yeah, but I
that's the
felt
end
like
of
the throttle response on the Yamaha, like I don't know, it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my favorite.
That's more of an engine thing, right?
Yeah, it might be a fuel control thing. That's
I
good.
mean,
That's a
yeah.
good point,
It's
Spurgeon.
electronic,
And that's the
yeah.
problem is like where do you like separate what parts of the electronic package? Like if we're just talking about a menu system, then yeah, the MT10 system is good. But again,
Yeah.
the Yamaha doesn't come with the cruise control. Or sorry, it doesn't come with heated grips or a quick shifter.
The
Those
MT10 has
are-
a quick shifter.
Those are pretty important to me. Does it?
I-
Stock?
It does. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. The point is,
It sounds like you're trying to
with-
sell him on like you're trying to like you. It sounds like
Yeah,
you
man,
bought
this
an
is my
MT10 for the engine, and now you're trying to sell him the spare parts off of it.
I know it's not super creative to just stick with what already came with either
Right.
the BMW or Aprilia, but ultimately that's probably the best choice for me.
So, all right. So, Mr. Quartz, it sounds like you're pretty smitten with just keeping the MT10 electronics. Is that your plan too?
No, I don't. I hadn't thought about this actually. I was going to ask you to go next.
All right, I'll go next while you sit there and think about it. I can do that because this is the one area where I am gonna go with KTM. I am gonna go with the electronics package off of the 890 Rally. And the only reason I'm doing that instead of the regular 890 is it automatically gives you cruise control and the quick shifter. Personally, I could live without the quick shifter. I actually like to turn it off when I'm riding off road because I
Really?
I don't like the feel of the clutch engagement with the like the way it shifts with the quick shifter engaged. It has more of like a softer feel to it. So personally, for me, I could take or leave the quick shifter. And if I had it, I'd probably turn it off for actually riding off-road. But what I like about the KTM is that you do have the 9 levels of traction control, and you can easily dial in what level you want. And when you're riding off-road, like just like 1 or 2 levels actually works really well. Out of all the bikes that I've ridden in off-road traction control mode, I think the KTM works the best. But then if you take it to do, you know, a touring ride or a street ride, or if you want to do a track day with it, with my giant 21-inch front wheel, I can still dial up into higher levels of traction control. And I like the TFT dash on that. I like the electronic cruise control that comes with that. So I would take the electronics package off of a KTM 890 Rally.
Does that have cornering ABS?
It does have cornering ABS.
All right.
Cornering ABS, cornering traction control. Yeah, it has the EMU, if you will, I believe.
EMU, not IMU.
IMU. Sorry, I was thinking ECU. Yeah, IMU, internal measurement. Yes, IMU.
Yeah. All right, good choice. I think that's a strong one. I mean, it
Sure.
suits your intentions with the bike, which is important.
So, do we make a decision, Zachary?
Yeah. So I'm sort of my initial thought was I would do like basically R1 electronics, because I like all the adjustability. Like I like you can go in, you can like manually set all those modes. It has so sorry, I guess technically it's the R1M.
So you ventured pretty far away from an MT10, basically.
Well, the menu system is sort of intuitive, and it allows you to set all those things and set all those parameters. But what I was going to say is I think at the end of the day, I would probably just go with a BMW electronics package, because I don't want all the adjustability doesn't matter as much to me as the easy usability. And I love that BMW you can switch off traction control on the fly. You can switch off ABS on the fly if you want to.
And you can't switch off ABS on our R1M.
That's true.
You cannot disable
you can't
ABS
at all,
which is quite the problem.
Could you just pull the fuse?
Yeah, you can pull the fuse.
Okay.
But like when you can be riding down the road on an S1000 XR or a GS and just hold a button down while you're riding and turn off ABS, that's the freedom I want.
That's the dream. Yeah.
That's the freedom we all deserve.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would go with a BMW electronics package of some kind, because I think that the setup is pretty good, and I feel it's kind of the same way Ari does. Like I want ABS, and I think that's a very important and good safety feature. But beyond that, I just sort of want like a basic safety net, and I don't want it to be. I don't need like ultra complicated menus.
So let me ask. I actually want to use this opportunity to ask Ari a question, because when I was at the KLR 650 launch, for those of you listening that haven't read that article, if you opt for ABS, you can't turn it off. And when I asked the reps from Cowie, they're like, "Oh, you could just pull the fuse." Yep. How hard is it to just have a button that would just turn it off? Like
extremely easy. I did that. I had a 2012 Speed Triple R where I did exactly that. I had a push button switch that I put in the handlebar because there was a particular intersection leaving the office that I always like to slide into sideways. But yeah, you can just it's not hard at all. I mean, you can install
it can't
one
be like so. Do you think with like these OEMs, right? Like with something like a KLR 650, do you think that's more about like the liability and like government regulations?
Maybe
that bike is so cheap. And I looked at it outside. It looks pretty cheap, unfortunately. I think they were literally just like, we can save $7 on every bike we build if we just don't put this switch, because liability-wise, I don't know.
I also think that it's an owner demographic thing, where if they put a switch to disable ABS, that like the lion's share of KLR owners would be like, I'll just pull the fuse. Like, I don't give a crap about stupid button switch thing, Jake. I don't need that. Yeah. So they just were like, we know the type of person that's going to buy this bike probably knows what a fuse is and where it is and what they need to do.
And has plenty of time to take the seat off and lift the cover off and pull the fuse out.
Yeah, so I guess that was my point.
Well, they'd probably just do that or not, and I don't know.
Well, then why buy the bike with ABS? Because it's an upcharge, right?
It's like
if you're going to go on like a
upcharge. But but let's be honest, the brakes in the KLR are kind of a wish and a prayer that you're going to get to stop anyway. So having the ABS is like cheap insurance when you're on the street, that you can just ham fist the front brake and pray to God that it comes to a stop. Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to see. I just wanted your master's mechanic's opinion on how hard it would be to just throw a little button on there, and it doesn't sound like it would be that hard.
Not hard. Nope.
Okay.
It sounds like
Anyway, I didn't mean to derail the podcast.
All good. Yeah. So we do have one of the things we had on here was brakes, but like, how big is the brakes discuss? We all want good brakes, right? Are there any brakes that really stand out to people, or would it be like if you had Multistrada V4 brakes or S1000XR brakes or GS brakes or.
Yeah, I think they're all good. Like
they're all good, right?
Above a certain price point, they're all good. I think BMW historically does have really strong bite and a lot of power, which Zach and I both appreciate.
I want the brakes off of the Street Triple RS. So yeah, specifically speaking, like that big Brembo M50 calipers, it's got that MCS or MC5 lever. I love the adjustability on the lever on that one. I do specifically want a braking system. I think Ducati uses that too on their very high-end models, but that's the one that I'm looking at.
Yeah, there's a lot of crossover there. Ari, can you explain to the people what that goofy lever is that he's talking about?
I can't remember the actual name of it, but they've got one that's got like a variable fulcrum or something where you're supposed to be able to basically adjust the way it feels. If you change the master cylinder size, it changes the brake feel. You can have more lever travel, but also more feedback, or you can have less lever travel and a stiffer lever, but you also have less feedback.
Yep.
So that adjustability is supposed to allow you to choose between those parameters instead of just being stuck with one.
Yeah, so I know I'm 99. It's like either MCS or MC5.
I think it's MCS.
MCS.
Yeah.
So for those of you that are familiar with like the throw, like an adjustable, there's like a screw on the back that you can actually still adjust where the lever goes, but then there's a screw on the inside so that like let's say you like your lever to hit a little bit more progressively, you can fine tune all of that. So it's a really competent system, and frankly, man, like you touch that with 2 fingers and you're going over the front of handlebars. Like it's pretty good.
Yeah,
That doesn't sound good.
Well, I mean,
yeah,
if you wanted to fly over the front of the handlebars, you could do it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I hadn't given it a ton. I appreciate that you give it a lot of thought. That's good.
But I want to be clear that that's the braking hardware that I want. The electronic components for controlling the ABS aspect of that, I want to be the KTM because I want to be able to turn it off at the front, and I want the reduced ABS. Or I wanted to be able to turn it off at the back and have the reduced ABS at the front. So that I just wanted to specify.
All right. I appreciate how specific you're being. You've given this a lot more thought than I did.
Indeed.
All on the fly, too. I'm literally making this up as I go
along. Okay. Well, it's good. These are great answers. I'm copying Spurgeon and Zack, I guess. I don't know. So the last piece of this that I want to get to that I think is kind of fun.
But just to be clear, you guys are both going with the braking system that comes with your chassis. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
No, I said I'm copying you. I'm getting.
Oh, you're copying
whatever
me. Okay.
Yeah. Whatever. It doesn't matter that much
to
me.
It does matter.
Brakes just slow you down.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to get places, not sit still. So the last piece of this puzzle is a wild card, which you can have fun with. But basically, like, do you want to be like I'm gonna be like I'm gonna put on a
why don't you go first? I don't want guest honors on this because I don't know where to start. I need some suggestions. I need to hear what you guys do, just so it'll get my wheels turning.
I was thinking like a top box, but then like because I'm a commuter, I like riding bike every day. If I ride the bike every day, I'm gonna want to put stuff in it. So, but I think that kind of goes with chassis. Do you guys agree? That goes with chassis, right? Like if your chassis has the ability to put luggage on it, then like
I'll give you that. Yeah,
then you have access to it.
So we don't need to go too crazy there. I was gonna pick the frunk from the NC 700, NC 750 because I think that's pretty nifty. But I think I picked that in the ADV build, so I don't want to go down there. I think what I'm gonna go with is the and I might have mentioned this in the other Build a Bike episode we did, but I'm going to go with the BMW adaptive headlight because I think that is one of the most amazingly just one of the most shocking systems to use. And it's super underrated and people don't talk about it that much, and it is an odd luxury. But just to be clear, it's a system that BMW has in their K1600 models, and maybe you can get it on an RT where there's a servo that powers a mirror, and the LED headlight points back into this mirror, and when you lean over, the mirror turns and
so
points through
it's
the
not
turn.
like the cornering lights that all these bikes have now where it's basically just an LED that's pointed in that direction that illuminates. This actually, using the IMU, steers the headlight through the corner, which is unbelievably effective.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And to a certain extent, a safety feature because it allows you to see farther down the road at night. So that's what I'm going with.
I kind of want to steal that one. I like that idea. No, I say that.
Have you ridden a bike with have you ridden a BMW with the adaptive headlight thing, Spurge?
I honestly don't remember. Like I feel like it would have been on the K1600B. Like I feel like it would have been on that
Maybe.
bike.
It's probably offered. It's the same headlight housing.
Yeah,
so
but
they
if I
probably
wrote it,
offer
I wrote it. I wrote it. They only give us the ones with like the top tier packages to ride.
Yeah,
I just
usually,
don't. I just
yeah,
don't
yeah.
remember.
Did you ride it at night on a twisty road?
No, that's why I wouldn't remember.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really something.
But I've ridden
well-
like the ones that Aries are talking about. Like I remember when I first rode the Yamaha FJR 1300, the new version of that had it where like as you're leaning over, different ones illuminate, and
Yeah.
that one didn't do anything for me. I was like, this really isn't. It's not. It's not doing much.
While we're on the topic of adaptive headlights or cornering lights, which, as Ari said, are very common these days.
I mean, they had them on like Oldsmobiles in the 80s.
Yeah, well, certainly, yeah, big American boats like that. I remember someone
The
like
turn signal and like a little auxiliary headlight. would
yeah,
turn
yeah,
on.
yeah, because they were like, oh, you can help you get into your driveway so you don't hit the mailbox again, Gladys.
Again.
What do you
Or the guy on the sidecar rolling down the street next to you.
Right. So, what is the best version of that system that you guys have ever used? The cornering lights. So you mentioned the FJR. The Harley Pan America has them. There's other bikes.
Well, so
like
the Harley
Versus
Pan America
1000
has
them.
what they call the Daymaker headlight, Zach.
Yeah.
And that is again, I don't know. That one's not. Is that one adaptive? I thought that
Just
one was
shoots
adaptive.
photons in every direction.
No, the Pan America, yeah, it has the lower headlight on its little catfish mouth is the sort of Daymaker, I think, that points forward. But that light bar above up on its forehead, those ones illuminate when you lean over.
And they
That's
communicate
that's the Daymaker one. That's the one where it's an
No,
accessory.
That's a Daymaker? No,
yeah,
that's not. I don't think-
Daymaker is their standard headlight on a lot of their bikes. When they went to LED, they started calling
Yeah.
it Daymaker.
Really?
They've had that since like 2014.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, that
Yeah.
all the old like touring bikes from 5 years ago, like Gary said, have quote unquote Daymakers. But but the lean sensitive adaptive cornering light thingamajig, I think is new for. I mean, I know the Pan America has
Yeah.
it, and I don't think that other Harley models have had it.
Okay. Yeah, I know that it's if you buy the Pan America Special, it comes standard, and it's like a $500 add-on if you want to do it with the other ones. But I didn't realize.
Right.
So what you're saying is that one's adaptive. That one's not adaptive. That's just
It
illuminates
illuminates
as you go.
based on lean angle.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it's
Yeah, so
cornering lights.
yeah, corner. I think the distinction we should make is cornering lights, which is what lots of bikes have, where to Ari's point, you lean over and a set of lights illuminate, and then
Versus
the adaptive
adaptive.
headlight is the BMW terminology for that sort
Which
of
I
a
think
swivel thing.
I think BMW is the only one that has it, and it
Yeah,
is,
I think
in my
so, too.
opinion, superior because it's
Oh.
pointing. It's pointing through the corner. It's like having a passenger with an auxiliary headlight that's like, let's go over there.
They're
It's
sitting with a
just
mag light
so
behind you,
effective.
just shining it in the direction
Yeah.
you want to go.
It's
Which,
magic.
interestingly enough, I think I did that once in a sidecar with Zach. When we were going down a twisty road in a Ural.
Well, I would say for what it's worth, I don't think off the top of my head I can't remember using the BMW adaptive headlight at night that I can recall. And frankly, and then as far as like the auxiliary lights that illuminate as you lean over, there haven't been any that have really impressed me. Like there's not
Same
where I'm
here.
like, oh, that works amazingly.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's fair. What about last question on this topic, because then we got to move on. But aside from this sort of BMW thing that I brought up, the adaptive headlight, best headlights that you can remember using on a motorcycle.
I will say that the new KLR 650 headlights, if you add the little side auxiliary lights,
Oh, yeah.
Little side auxiliary lights, they're huge.
the big auxiliary lights. I will say that like they are probably that's one of the best headlight setups that I can remember using in recent history. I was actually really impressed with those headlights. Now the high beam does absolutely nothing except for shine a giant fluorescent beam of blue right into your cornea. So I just kept it in the low beam with the aux headlights on the whole time, but I was very impressed.
Wait, just really quick. Why does the high beam shine light?
No, like the little blue indicator lights too bright.
Oh! I see. I understand.
Yeah,
I got
it's
it.
very distracting. But low beams on that, I was actually for a $6,700 motorcycle. Those headlights work great.
Fair enough.
What about
I
you?
have
Eric?
no strong recollections of particularly good headlights, unfortunately, other than my experience in that K1600 that had the adaptive headlight. Yeah. And as far as a wild car add-on, I've been trying to think about it this whole time since you brought it up. And honestly, Zach, you've got the best suggestion. Like,
yeah,
it's effective. Otherwise, my bike's already got all the good stuff. I can't think of anything.
No frunk for you?
No frunk. Certainly not.
Yeah. Okay. Fair
Well,
enough. No one's gonna talk about adjustable.
I'm
wind
not
protection,
going
like
with a
everyone feels
headlight.
good
I
about
know. I'm going with.
All right.
So I want to do a combo, and it's a wild card. So it, I'm going to do it.
You make the rules.
Chase, you have to beat that out.
Yeah, seriously.
I want to do and again, I know I'm not supposed to go KTM, so I'm going to use a brand agnostic, version of this, but I want a tall, flat rally seat, and I want the large, giant, gnarly rally foot pegs, because as a tall rider, I appreciate actually a taller seat where most people go to a shorter seat to be able to reach the ground. I like the tall, flat rally seat. One, for height, it's easier to stand up and sit down if I am riding off-road, but then I like the flexibility of being able to move myself back, move myself forward without having a stop in the seat. And that's something that, while it does add beneficial, results for me personally riding off-road, I also like it because it's more comfortable. My knees are at less of an angle. The rally pegs are usually big and wide, so there's not any real pressure points on your boot. I know one of the qualms that I had when I spent the summer riding an F850 GS, and they've got these tiny little foot pegs, and at the end of the day, it hurts your feet because it's a lot of pressure in one point on your foot. So those are my wild card picks.
Okay. All right.
All right. I came up with
fair
one.
enough.
Oh, there we go.
If I'm rolling with that V4, I'll just put an acro exhaust on it. Can we tap into the aftermarket like that?
Oh yeah,
sure,
absolutely.
Why not?
Okay,
Why
yeah.
not?
We'll give you a full system to boot.
Yeah, I just don't want to. I don't want to have to install it.
Oh my goodness, good point.
Yeah.
I bet that's a nightmare. Well, the engine's gonna have to be out anyway because you got.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a good point. Someone else is doing that work, so yeah, let's just slap a full system on there.
Okay, so as a quick roundup here, my bike, Zach's bike, is a 2014 Multistrada chassis with an R1 engine in there, a BMW
MT10 engine.
Oh, sorry, MT10 engine. Yep. Yeah, MT10 engine in there with BMW electronics and a BMW adaptive headlight, and I'm probably gonna put a top box on it because I'm dorky because I ride to work. And so what's next rundown? Ari, you go next.
I've got a 2021 S1000 XR chassis with a 1100 engine with a full acro pipe. Also, if I'm doing the acro pipe, then I can't have the adaptive headlight.
Yeah, you can.
I can do both.
Not? It's a
I got two wild cards.
This is the world
I got
we're
two
living
wild
in.
cards,
Yeah.
and I'm sticking with the stock BMW electronics because I like that package. It's got excellent cornering ABS. It's got a quick shifter, all that jazz. So it seems like it's going to be a pretty fun bike.
So
Agreed.
that leaves me with a Tiger 900 Pro XC Pro chassis. That's the 21 17-inch wheel setup, and that's the same suspension that comes with that bike. From an engine, I am going with the MT09 Yamaha triple in there. Brakes, I am going with the Triumph Street Triple RS Brembo M50 calipers with that MCS lever. Electronics, I am going with the KTM 890 Rally electronics there. And then for my wild card, tall, flat Rally seat, adding about 2 inches of height, and a large set of Rally foot pegs. So that's
Nice.
my pick.
Sounds like we got to get together and go for a road trip.
Yeah, on these ugly machines, on these abominations. So as a part of this, I think it's only fair. This will be a quick discussion, I think. But just to follow up, we built these wacky bikes, and to be clear, Ari and I are fond of sport riding, as he mentioned before, and also commuting. So that's why we sort of went with the upright style of bike. Spurgeon a little bit more off-road oriented, which is why I went with the 21-inch front wheel, that type of thing. I hope you've been building a bike all along while you've been listening as well. For now, let's talk about a bike that we would choose for 2 years, 5 years, whatever it is. Like you have to pick one bike. 10 years, you can't ride anything else. A bike on showroom floors, bone stiggity stock. What would you choose, Ari? I think I know what you're going to do.
I'm curious to know what you. No. What do you think?
I honestly would probably do the S1000 XR. That's probably the bike that I would go with, because I know that I can go to a track day and have a rip-roaring good time. And it's a little buzzy, and it's so raw and sport bike oriented that I would pay the price for that, riding it day to day.
Certainly.
But I love that fizz that it's got in its soul.
It's an absolutely exciting motorcycle, but that's not what I was going to choose.
Can I ask a question about the S1000 XR before Ari gives his choice? So
Certainly.
I rode the first gen, and I really did not like the vibration in the handlebars. It was like this high-pitched vibration.
Nobody
did. Did they fix that? Is that gone now?
They have improved it. They have not fixed it.
Okay.
It is tolerable, though.
Okay.
It's
I
definitely
did not. Yeah,
tolerable.
I didn't like it in the first version.
The bike's changed a lot over the years in the latest iterations. really,
especially
really good.
especially the most recent update that they did. That was a big overhaul, as Ari pointed out.
What year was that? Do you remember?
21.
21. Okay.
Yeah. So onto your pick, Ari, which
a motorcycle that I would actually be tempted to spend my own money on is the new RS660. I think that it just fits the bill for me. Like, I've done a lot of kind of lightweight touring on smaller bikes. I don't need a whole bunch of luggage. Like, that bike can take a top box, and that would be all I would need if I wanted to go ride up to San Francisco or ride to Austin or something. I'll just pack light. I know it'll work at a track day because I've ridden it at the track, and I know it's a lot of fun on a twisty road, and I know it's good to commute on. And frankly, I want more seat time on it. I think it's just it's a package that I'm eager to live with, to actually see where the flaws are and to see how it holds up, because I feel like it's got just a lot of potential in the market.
So, quick question: why not a Tuono 660?
I guess I like the aesthetic, and the Tuono's not that much more comfortable that it sways me.
Okay, fair enough.
It's funny. So Ari was doing an Instagram live the other day, and I jumped on, and he was talking about the Aprilia, and I made a joke that, Ari Henning is to Aprilia what Spurgeon Dunbar is to KTM, because I get the sense that you're really a fan of that motorcycle. I know that you really liked it when you rode it, and like listening to you talk about it just there, it seems like that is something that really does appeal to you.
They do a very good job with their sport bikes. I'll give them that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's a great choice. But yeah, I was smitten with the Tuono. I just thought that the RS660 is remarkably comfortable and like a good daily rider for a sport bike, and the aesthetic is a lot different than the Tuono. But like,
it looks
hardware
great.
wise,
I think the RS660 looks better than the Tuono. Like, it's a beautiful looking motorcycle.
Would you get it in that acid yellow?
Ugh, no, I don't call it acid yellow. I call it baby.
Really? Oh, that's the one that I would pick. That reminds me, because Triumph used to do
Spurgeon,
the roulette green. Yes. Oh, I love it. It's so good.
Well, there's probably going to be plenty of them on dealer floors for you, because no one else likes it.
So your dream bike that you have to ride for an indeterminate amount of time that feels like a long time on showroom floors right now.
I think for what it's worth, it's important to acknowledge that there's so many great bikes out there right now. I think we'd have a harder time picking a bad motorcycle than we would, sitting here and trying to play this game. But my heart's with the KTM. And I honestly, I think about the kind of riding that I like to do. I like long distance touring. I like, a windy, curvy, fun road. I like riding off road. And the 890 Adventure R, the Rally with that cone valve, the fact that KTM makes that bike, and I can walk onto a dealership floor and I can buy that motorcycle for $20,000. And when you think about what $20,000 gets you in a cruiser world or other areas, it's an impressive motorcycle with 11 inches of suspension travel. It's like the closest thing you can get to buying a factory rally bike that's actually a lot more comfortable to ride all day long on the street, or if you want to take it off road and beat it up, you can. So I don't think there's any surprises there with our audience, but that's probably the bike that I would go with.
Yeah, and no surprises at all. But
surprises, hey, fully expected and fully warranted.
Yeah.
So next time we do a build a bike episode, which feel free to send in your suggestions or comment below, YouTube, whatever you want to do. Let us know what you think. If we should do another one of these episodes and what it should be, we need to make sure that Spurgeon can't build.
No KTMs allowed.
Yeah, exactly. Or no, non-ADV bike, because we're like, what's your build your favorite ADV bike? And Spurgeon was like, mostly KTM parts. And then we're like, a bike that you have to live with for 2 years. And he was like, still a KTM.
But no,
so next time we're gonna have to be like,
I did a very good job.
All you did was electronics. That's a very limited scope.
Yes, and to be honest with you, we talked about this and the fact that it's really hard to do these build a bike competitions and not pick an adventure chassis, because they're sporty. True. You can ride it. I mean, both of you knuckleheads picked adventure chassis too. So
sort of.
I mean, come on. It was. I mean, yes, I went with the longer travel suspension. You guys went with the sportier suspension. But I think that's probably part of the problem that we run into is that you get into 2022, and this chassis is so universally good for so many different areas, aside from what Ari was talking about. If you want to do a hardcore track day, his Aprilia pick is probably going to be the better option there.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've built motorcycles. We talked through what we would do if we had to get on our showroom floors. We've I think wasted enough of your time, listener and viewer, and certainly enough of Ari Henning's time.
I just wanted to take a second and thank Ari. So I wore my schnazzy new T-shirt. Ari and Zach were recently up at a CTXP episode, which is coming later this year, filming in Alaska, and he sent me this little Alaskan motorcycle shop T-shirt.
Yeah, that's from the whole CTXP team.
Yeah, I'm just well, it came from Mr. Henning's address, but thank you to Zach and to Ari because I have a little KTM.
Shout out
down
to Andrew at the motorcycle shop up in Anchorage, Alaska, because he definitely helped us out on an upcoming episode of CTXP.
And while we're shouting out to him, if you happen to find yourself in Anchorage, Alaska, you should go even if you don't want to buy a motorcycle from our friend Andrew, because it's a beautiful shop and they have some cool old bikes on display.
Part museum. Yeah, he's got some incredible motorcycles.
It's wicked. Totally wicked. And you look fantastic in the shirt, obviously.
Thank you. And it's the motorcycle shop? Is that just the name of it, the motorcycle shop?
Yeah.
The motorcycle shop.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. There you go. Right on. Well, we look forward to that episode of CTXP. And Ari, as always, we appreciate you taking the time out of your Friday to sit and hang out with us and chew the fat a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the invite, guys. Fun conversation.
Always a pleasure having Mr. Henning on the podcast. He's easy on the eyes, and he's a great conversationalist.
He knows his fuse boxes, ladies and gentlemen.
He does. So we are now moving into one of my favorite portions of the show, the high side, low side listeners' comments. The first comment I'm going to read is actually aimed at Mr. Quartz. I didn't know what this comment was, and Zach did. So Bill wrote in and said, "Hey guys, so I got to ask, what happened to Corvette guy? Love you guys so much." So a lot of love from Bill, but Zach, I didn't get the Corvette guy reference. So why don't you fill us in?
I believe, I'm not certain, this was a very short message. I believe what Bill is referring to is a particular house that I pass on the Daily Rider route and make Daily Rider videos for the RevZilla YouTube channel. I pass this house that there's always two Corvettes parked there. I assume the person who lives there or people that live there own them. I just would be so surprised if this was a female person who had two Corvettes and a Dodge Ram SRT V10,
like the
sports
V10?
truck.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, I sometimes if a bike is loud, I'll be like, I bet Corvette guy would like this. Or if I don't know, I just make references to Corvette guy because I'm building a small relationship unbeknownst to him. This imaginary guy who owns Corvettes.
Could you imagine if he was secretly a Daily Rider fan and every time you mentioned him, he was just like, yeah, that's me?
Maybe. What I'm worried about is that he's going to find out about his role in my show and then sue for libel or something like that.
Well, you're saying
anyway,
bad
Corvette
guy.
No. Corvette guy is a benevolent owner of Corvettes, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway. Corvette guy, if you are listening out there, I so appreciate your contributions to the Daily Rider program. And Bill, I just haven't mentioned Corvette guy recently. I appreciate your concern over Corvette guy. I'll try to make sure to mention Corvette guy in an upcoming Daily Rider episode.
So there you go. That's for those of you listening that don't know who Corvette guy is. Now we're all in the know together.
Right. Next, cool if I take this one, Spurge?
Yeah, absolutely.
Giddy up. Next question, comment is from Vicky in France. Vicky Lenoir, I believe, who is writing in to regarding our comment about noise cameras, noise radar in a system in France, whereby if your car or bike is too loud, this set of microphones will track the vehicle, takes a picture of it, and you get a ticket in the mail for your vehicle being too loud. There's an article on Common Tread if you're interested in learning more. We said that we didn't, understand the deepest, darkest depths of this. And Vicky very, very nicely said, I live in France and I can tell you a little bit about what's happening. Vicky says the official test period is supposedly over, which goes against what I learned on the internet. I think they're still doing it, or they're already doing it again, perhaps in 6 or 8 cities in France. Vicky says a few cities will implement an automatic ticketing system in 2022. mainly near Paris. They're saying tickets will range from €90 to €750, which
$107 to like just shy of $900.
Correct. Yeah. Chase very kindly did the math for us there. So yeah, $100 to $900 for this ticket. And says Vicky says, I hope that gives you some information that you wanted. So thank you, Vicky, for writing in, for boots on the ground in France, telling us how it's actually going to work. And I suppose you, the viewer, listener, can decide what you think about the tickets in the mail for having vehicles that are too loud in a residential area. But I think I'm pro, actually.
Two thoughts on this. One, it never ceases to amaze me, like our audience around the world. I think it's awesome that Vicky took the time to write in. Currently living in Paris and or outside of Paris.
No. Sorry. Vicky says lives near Cannes and Saint-Tropez.
Yeah, Saint-Tropez. Yep.
Saint Raphael.
Either way, it's nice that Vicky, who lives in France, took the time to write in. I always enjoy seeing our listeners from around the world. The other part of this is it ranges from about $100 to $900. Let's say you and I were both riding home, right? And arbitrarily the computer picked up my audio and gave me a $100 ticket, and then gave you a $900 ticket. How pissed would you be if I was like, "Man, I got a $100 ticket," and you're like, "What? I got a $900 ticket."
Well, not unlike speeding, my understanding, which is mostly inference, is that if your bike or car is louder, you get a more expensive ticket. So if it's like anything over 90 decibels and you're 92 decibels, it might be a $100 ticket. If it's 102 decibels,
right?
It might
but let's
be
say
an $800 ticket.
I just happened to be like downshifting as I rolled through. And it was like quiet. Let's say we're on the exact same bike, right? And for whatever reason, you were howling through like a banshee, which you tend to do because you're a madman. And I was going through like a refined French gentleman, like I do, because obviously.
Because that's what you are.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you'd probably be pretty pissed off if I got a $100 ticket. I mean, I'd be upset about that, but you'd probably be like, "Oh."
I can be pissed off if I want to be, but I was the one riding like a madman. So I deserve a more expensive ticket.
You say that until you actually get one, and then you're going to be really upset about it.
Look, I don't like traffic tickets any more than the next person, but I also have people that clatter through my neighborhood with mostly American V twins that are stupid loud. And if there was a camera
it's your
on the
neighbor
street light,
Gertrude with like the leaf blower, and she's out there, and you're just like, "Damn it, Gertrude, put that thing away."
That's a whole nother podcast. They can ticket people for leaf blowers, as far as I'm concerned. Also, use a broom. Anyway, the point is, I like loud engines because I think it's fun, and I get it. But also, I'm a person who lives in a neighborhood as well, and I don't want that. And I think there's a time and place for exhaust to be loud. And when I'm having dinner with my friends in our backyard or whatever, that's not the time.
But that MT10 adventure sport bike that you just built, that's the time for a loud bike.
Stock exhaust. I didn't say anything about it's bone stock.
All right.
And if I'm hossing on it in the neighborhood and I get a ticket,
so I wasn't sure exactly.
I do like the sound of it.
Okay.
But it's that bike's pretty polite.
That's true.
And if you hoss on it, it's a little bit loud. But I'm not going to hoss on it in town. And if I do, I get a ticket.
Okay, so let's just say that
this is obviously a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, if you're on a loud motorcycle, people, don't ride through Zach's backyard. Keep it on the streets. He doesn't like when motorcycles randomly ride through his backyard while he's trying to have dinner with friends. That's just a fun fact about Zach that you should all know. So
you're all very welcome.
I'm going to take the final high side, low side listener comment. This is from John. John writes in and says, "I am 6'4". I am 220 pounds. John is roughly a little bit taller and bigger than Zach and I are, but let's just say for the sake of this argument, Zach and I are the same size as John is. I like adventure bikes for their great supple suspension, riding position, and physical size. Ride a BMW R1250 GSA. 99% of the time I'm on road. Fairly aggressively. He's an aggressive on-road rider, barely touching the off-road sector of what that bike can do. And he's riding it with 9010 dual-purpose Bridgestones. He wants to go to a street-only tire, like a T31 from Bridgestone. A lot of purists wouldn't be caught dead doing it. What do we think?
Well, I love your taste in riding and in machines, John, first of all.
You're a talented and handsome individual. That's what what I'm getting from this.
The quick answer is that's fine. put street tires on the GS. It's gonna work great. It's gonna be fine. And if you think about what tires you have on there now, if they're 90/10 tires, then they're basically street tires anyway.
You're already there, John. You're already there.
Yeah. You're already 90% of where you want to be. So if you want to add another 9% of street capability to your tires, you should absolutely do that. And if anyone gives you static about it, you should tell them I like this bike for all the reasons that I listed, and I want to ride it on the street, and I want sticky road, sport touring tires or whatever. Nothing wrong with that. And the T31's a pretty good choice. I think that's what comes standard on a S1000 XR, speaking of which, I think.
Speaking of which, I would say this goes back to the same thing I told listeners. Is there a fly around you?
It's like a mosquito, and I'm like biting I'm trying really hard not to hunt it actively, which is normally what I do with mosquitoes.
For those of you that are listening on the podcast, Zach is getting ready to murder a bug that's flying around his room.
Soon.
I would say, John, John, my advice to you is the same advice that I talked about when we had Jen on the episode. We were talking about big bikes, small bikes, tall bikes. I don't care what people think. Like, if you want to ride the bike, ride the bike. Don't care about what you're looking like in pictures. If you want to put, hyper sport rubber on that thing and it's going to help you accentuate the way that you want to ride the bike, 100%. I would argue that like Zach and I are both pretty ADV focused in some of the bikes that we have in our garage. Zach's is probably a little more aimed for street riding. Mine's probably a little more off-road riding. But my point is that we both like adventure bikes, and I don't think either one of us would fault you if we ran into you at a coffee shop and you had your GSA, outfitted with a pair of Bridgestone, T31 tires. So
agreed.
I would say go for it, my friend.
Agreed. Good question though, and yeah, we very much appreciate all of the listener and viewer questions submitted for this episode. Please keep them coming. Send us an email to highsidelowside@RevZilla.com or comment on YouTube. We do our best to read and look at absolutely all that stuff.
And as always, make sure you subscribe to us. If you did leave us an Apple Podcast review, we thank you. It really does wonders for us. And as always, we're trying to pull random ones to give out free T-shirts too as a little bit of a reward. Remember, just a reminder to today's winners, Willie J1 and Gordon. Please make sure you shoot us an email to highsidelowside@RevZilla.com with the address and size of your T-shirt, and we will make sure that we get those sent out for you.
Absolutely, positively. So we've talked about bikes for another good while here. We hope that you've had fun on this podcast. Spurgeon's going to go listen to his.
I'm going to go home and listen to my vinyl
now. And I guess that's just about it. We can let you get on with the rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and we'll see you next time on High Side, Low Side.